Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's video. The teen years do not have to be a constant war of the generations. Teens are developing and changing as they're adults. We need to work constructively and collaboratively with them. This time is an opportunity if we take it. Parents and caregivers, do you struggle with a teen that drives you crazy? Does your teen seem to be a stranger that you can't stand to be around or can't stand to be around you? Have you lost touch with your teen? Are your days filled with dread for what they may be doing, and your nights are filled with tears and guilt? In the next few minutes, I'll share some thoughts on a different way of thinking about the teen years. Instead of focusing on the conflict and the angst, we focus on the positive sides of the teen development process and work with our teens to respect the adult that they are becoming, all in hopes that we can come out of this adolescent period on the other side as partners and friends rather than enemy combatants. My name is Matt Kenyon, and I am a family relationship coach, parent mentor, and adoptive parent, a student of psychology, and the owner of Free Thought Coaching. I help parents do what I did: end the conflict, build happily integrated families, connect with their teen, and foster all around trust. My promise is that there is always at least one tool, tip, trick, or piece of advice, something that you can use immediately after watching my videos. So let's get into it. First, let's, begin by defining adolescence. My definition is kind of a conglomeration of different ones, but it says that basically adolescence is a time of great change and development in the human between the approximate ages of 12 and 24. Yes. Adolescence does not end at 18. It doesn't end at 20. In fact, the prefrontal cortex is developing on into the mid-20s. It is a hugely formative period where there are opportunities for challenges and successes. It is a source of conflict inside many teens as their brains change along with their bodies, and a source of conflict in their outside world as their behaviors, views, and attitudes change and conflict with the existing world around them. We used to believe that it was the hormone changes that caused the tumultuous time period. However, as Daniel J. Siegel points out in his book, one of my favorites, Brainstorm, highly recommended, he points out that now we know that it's actually the development of their brain that is the cause of the changes and the turmoil, not the hormones. Not to say there aren't hormones going on, there are, but most of those have to do with the body, not the brain. In fact, the more we learn as parents, the more effective we can be at becoming a trusted advisor instead of a feared adversary. So a lot of times we hear this comment, right? People just talk about, oh, just get through the teen years. The problem with this is that it's a very restrictive way of looking at the adolescent period. It focuses on a fixed mindset that this is just who they are and that we just have to survive this battle, right? It creates this conflict, this us versus them thing that we have to survive. And it fights against the growth mindset, which is that us and our teens can grow and change and develop as time goes on. So what we need to do is focus on that growth mindset, which encourages exploration for the teen and introspection for the teen. And as we know from other research that we've done, that introspection and time in can really help us develop who we are and become the person we want to be. And it leads to better mental health, which of course we all want for our teens, right? Also, focusing on the growth mindset can turn this process into a journey rather than a battle. This thinking of just getting through it is a very old-fashioned way of thinking about it. Instead, what we can do is we can focus on this period of time as a time for a healthy exploration and learning of who your teen is. It's a time for connection and growth of the relationship for you into an advisor role instead of the parent. There are changes in growth that occur during this period of time, right? And one of those bigger things that happens is actually a pruning process where the brain goes through and it prunes out neurons and neural pathways that aren't used. You can think of the early child brain as just kind of, this string of Christmas lights. It's all thrown into a ball, and all the lights light all the time whenever you turn it on, right? And through this pruning process of adolescence, we cut out pieces of that Christmas tree light ball that don't work and or aren't used. We end up with a limited amount of connections within that ball. And that limited amount of connections leaves us with the person, okay? And this pruning process can be affected by stress. It can be overdone by the child experiencing stress and turmoil in their life. So we want to try and reduce that stress for them so that the pruning process can be healthy and not directed by bad stress hormones, bad being in quotes. So the most used circuits are kept, and we really want to focus on making sure that one of those circuits that's kept is all parts of the social engagement network, things that lead us to empathy, compassion, and understanding. And we need to model those things for our team. This remodeling brings hidden vulnerabilities to the surface. If there were traumas in this child's past or things going on for them that weren't dealt with before, they may now rear their ugly head during this pruning process because there aren't all those other connections hiding this. And so your child may need therapy. It's not your fault. It's not their fault. They just need it. So by focusing on this growth, we can actually look at this process as something that leads to integration. If you've seen it in my other videos, you've heard me talk about integration, but real quick, integration, as we're talking about it here, is differentiation with linkage. So we differentiate the parts of the body, right? They don't all do the same things. We differentiate them. We respect their differences and what they're good at, but then we link them together through our nervous system and our musculoskeletal program or parts of our body in order to create a healthy system that works together, right? You wouldn't want your foot pumping your blood. They're different, but you need your heart connected to your foot in order for your foot to be able to successfully get blood, right? This integration increases our capacity for empathy and increases their capacity for empathy and response flexibility. The remodeling will improve the ways that their brain functions. It's a necessary part of them becoming an adult. We need to make adjustments and change with them rather than a fight against them. We need to encourage their growth and join them on this journey. All of this really involves the PFC, because the PFC right here, kind of in the frontal part and just under that front part in their forehead of their brain, is the last part to develop. It's the part that develops into the 20s. So the PFC is the ultimate integrator. The prefrontal cortex is the integrator of the brain. If we go back to our hand model of the brain, we have the emotional amygdala and the brainstem here and the limbic area, and our brain folds over. And this part, this is the middle prefrontal cortex. This is what links all of these pieces together. You can see how it sits right on top of all of them. So we want to encourage this growth, and we want to encourage this integration and the use of the PFC. But because the PFC is under construction during this process, that means it can also be out of whack, out of control, or just completely offline. Just like in a construction site, when we're building a new building, sometimes we have to take all the utilities offline in order to perform some part of that construction. And so sometimes when your child is acting out, it is simply not their fault or their choice. Their integrative function of the prefrontal cortex is offline or isn't working correctly. So instead of working against them, if we work with them? Daniel J. Siegel in his book points out that if we fight our team, we can end up tainting the relationship with tension and disrespect. That disrespect will come back to us if we don't work with them, if we fight them. This can foster disconnection, secrecy, isolation, negative and harmful social behaviors. And those things can become normal habitual behaviors that your child will do out of habit. We've talked before about neurons that fire together, wire together. And so if we If we find ourselves in a situation where our kid is feeling this tension and disrespect, and they get into this habit of negative and harmful social behaviors, that will become part of how their brain normally functions because those neurons are firing together frequently. If you want to know more about this concept, I will put up above here, this side, yes, I will put a link to my video on snag. Or you can go look for it on my YouTube channel. You can find the video, or on the Facebook group, you can find the video called Snag. All right. So instead, if we work with our teen collaboratively and constructively, we can encourage them to be who they are today. We can let go of who we want them to be and encourage them to change, try new things, and even new personalities and personality traits. That's what this period is for. It's a time of personal exploration where they get to look and see, who am I? Daniel J. Siegel suggests having a strong support system of other adults for you is going to be key for you to be able to do this work, to work with them collaboratively and constructively, and to be encouraging for them to change and try new things. Daniel Siegel also suggests that your child also needs other adults in their life that are healthy role models, people that they can connect to. It's a danger when you are the only adult that they have connection with. All right, so let's move on. We know we've all experienced that rejection from our teen. All of us. Teens will reject us. That is part of this process. It's natural. The problem is when we push back on that. We have to stop pushing back. When we reject them back, it literally shuts down all that communication that was occurring. All that communication we had for their first 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 years of their life is now shut down because they rejected us and we responded back with more rejection. I don't know about you, but if somebody was rejecting me, I wouldn't reach out. But as the adults in this situation, we have to be that person who accepts their rejection and reaches out anyway. We need to use empathy and empathic listening. I have videos on those too. I'll stick a video for empathic listening up here. These things lead to understanding. We get to communicate respectfully. We get to foster integration. And by respecting their differences, no matter how hard it is, and being accepting of who they are today, no matter how hard that is, leads us to being able to stay connected. Because that isolation that they may be feeling if we reject them can lead them to all the things we don't want them to do. Bad decisions, drugs, destructive behavior, and honestly, suicide. Them pushing you away is not the same as them cutting you out completely. They're trying to create their own space. If we don't allow them to create their own space and encourage them to become who they want to be and be there as a safety net and a place for them to turn to that will always accept them, really runs some really big risks of putting our kids in danger. They don't want us to go away. Just leave them to figure it out. It's okay if they make mistakes. It's okay if they figure it out wrong the first time. We just need to be there to support them. So through understanding and being present for them, we can do this. But we need to be able to attune to their inner world and be present with them and what they're experiencing. This can help them feel felt, as Daniel Siegel says, and understood, which that feeling of feeling felt, of seen, heard, and safe is the basis for secure attachment. And it's that secure attachment that lasts a lifetime. Let their feelings and experiences become part of who you as the parent are, and allow it to change you and your perspectives and how you experience things. Understanding that does not mean agreeing with them, but by understanding and not rejecting them, we can become that trusted advisor in their lives instead of that embattled enemy. So in conclusion, often the problem with our relationships with our teens is not that the teen has changed, so much as we, the parents, have not. We, as the parents, are the fully developed humans with access to a fully developed prefrontal cortex. It is our job to be the cool head in the relationship and show the way as an advisor. They are quicker to end up in an emotional state than we are. They are dealing with an ever changing brain. We're not. This time of adolescence does not have to be a war in our homes. Instead, it can be a journey we take together, and it can grow the relationship instead of being adversaries on a battlefield, trying to subdue each other. Change your thinking and perceptions, and it will change the relationship. I guarantee it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Be intentional about being an advisor instead of an adversary, and happy parenting. Thanks for watching, everybody. I really do appreciate the love and support. Leave a comment down below with what in this video resonated with you. And if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. And hit that bell icon so you can get notified when I put out a new video. It really helps get these videos out to other parents like yourselves who need them. If you would like to join my Facebook community, Connected Parenting, where I have tons of other resources and a group of parents who are dealing with the same issues you are, the link is in the description. Have a great day. Be intentional about your parenting and attempt to be the parent your kid needs today. And as always, happy parenting.